BRUCAST is back, baby.
Fish or whatever, eggs are protein. They won't raise your blood sugar at all. I mean, there are things that you can eat that are not going to raise your blood sugar, but you have to be aware of those, and you have to know that you've got to make certain adjustments at certain times. And it's not like you can have a fixed schedule either, because certain things like stress, for example, if you're highly stressed, that'll raise your blood sugar. So, you need to make your food intake decisions based on what your body's actually experiencing, and not go by a schedule that says, well, okay, at 3 o'clock I can have a snack. Well, maybe today you can, maybe tomorrow you shouldn't. So you really don't know. It's something you've got to be keeping track of.
Damn. So you cannot even like have a routine and just follow this routine blindly, and you actually need to check your blood constantly and adapt every day.
That's the best thing to do.
Okay.
Now, with type 2, it's not as critical, especially early on, to check your blood sugar all the time, because you still have a lot of capacity left in your pancreas. You may have been diagnosed when you have already lost half its capacity, but that means that half of the capacity is still there. And if you start controlling the carbohydrate you're eating, that means that your pancreas doesn't have to produce as much insulin as it would if you ate a lot of carbohydrate. So by eating a lower carbohydrate diet, you're putting less stress on your pancreas, and you can keep that capacity going. The longer you do that, the better your body can still naturally keep your blood sugars lower.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I hear from opticians that if I use a certain type of glasses for long time, like long period of time, it will actually stop the my vision problems, or in some cases even revert the problem. And I can even see better. Like that's something they tell me. I heard that from different opticians. Is that something that's possible with diabetes? Like you always constantly monitoring, eating correctly, never having blood sugar spikes. Can you somehow revert the problem or cure it a little bit?
Well, the answer is no. And this is something else that people need to understand. We hear these terms cure and reversal thrown around with diabetes. And most of us, when we think of a cure, we think that you have tackled this disease and made it go away, and it's not going to come back again. So you never have to deal with it. With diabetes, the definition is a little different. In fact, it's not a little different, it's a lot different. What it means is that you've brought your blood sugar down below a certain level for a certain amount of time. So if you've established a threshold of, say, 125, which is the 126 is actually where diabetes is diagnosed. If they say that if you brought your blood sugar down below 126 for a certain amount of time, maybe 3 months, then you have cured diabetes because your blood sugar is no longer at the diabetic level. But the reason your blood sugar was low is because you've watched your diet, you've exercised, and you've done all the things that you need to do to control your blood sugar. The minute you stop doing those things, your blood sugar is going to go right back up over 126. That'll happen in a heartbeat. So they make it sound, by using the term cure, that you don't have to worry about it anymore. But it's just, it's not the case.
Oh man, there must be so many scammers out there. So I personally haven't looked at any of this, but just by saying the word cure, like you can sell so much fake stuff, right?
Well, yeah. In fact, I talked to a healthcare podcaster, believe it or not. She didn't let me on her show. She told me that she didn't know much about diabetes except that type 2 was more easily curable than type 1. And when I explained to her what the deal was, well, she didn't want me on the show anymore. But that's what she meant. Of course, if you're going to use that definition of cure, certainly, if you really watch yourself, you can bring that blood sugar down. But what that is, it's not a cure. It just means that you are being really, really successful in managing your diabetes. And I don't see why you would call it a cure. Just give the person a pat on the back for being knowledgeable and attentive enough to achieve that.
Hmm.
But that's why I'm out here, Bruno. There is so much misinformation out there that is so unfair to diabetics that we really got to educate people, and
Hmm.
not just diabetics. I mean, the whole society needs to get rid of all these misconceptions.
Yeah, and the stigma as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. So, Chad, I wanted to ask you, how many times per day do you actually monitor your sugar blood levels in
Well, in my
average?
case, mine, I probably, well, here's the thing. You can monitor your blood sugar levels by doing a finger stick. That means you take a little blood sample out of your finger, then you put it into a testing device, and that'll tell you. When I was doing that, I would probably do it 4 or 5 times a day. But now I've got what's called a continual glucose monitor. The technology is marvelous. I installed this thing in my abdomen once every 10 days. It's just about painless to put in, and it will monitor and radio my blood sugar to a receiver I carry in my pocket. So to check my blood sugar today, all I have to do is pull that thing out of my pocket, push a button, and there it is. So, now I do it a lot. If I'm not feeling quite right, I'll pull it out and check it out. There have been times when my blood sugar has gone low, and I felt like maybe it was, but I wasn't sure. Just pull it out, and there it is. So these CGMs are becoming more and more common. A lot of type 2s are able to use them as well. And that's the best because if you get that real time information, that's the key to good control. As a little historical note, back in 1981, when I first was diagnosed with diabetes, the only way you had an indication of blood sugar was using a stuff called test tape. It was a yellow paper that came in a dispenser like a tape measure. And what you would do is pull out a little bit of this and you would dip it into a urine sample. If it stayed yellow, it means your blood sugar had been low. But if it turned various shades of green, it meant that it was high. I couldn't tell you how high, but it was higher. And then if it turned black, you knew that your blood sugar was really high, which was, that was good to know. But that was old information. That the urine was produced an hour ago. So it didn't tell you right now what your blood sugar is. It just gave you some kind of a rough guess. So then we graduated to the finger sticks, and that was really a breakthrough because you could know right away. But it was a pain because you had to take the blood sample and take out the monitor, the meter, and use that. But today, this new technology is it's marvelous,
Wow, so
marvelous.
so it's called continuous glucose monitor, and so it's basically a belt that you have around your waist. So
No, no, what it is, it's a little. The one I have is actually the old style. They made the stuff even smaller than what I've got. There's a monitor that's probably an inch and a half long, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide, that fits into a receptacle. There's an applicator that this thing comes in, and you just put it on your skin. You press a button, and it installs it. Under the skin, there's a little, I
oh,
don't know how you call them. They're little fibers that go into your skin, and it doesn't go in deep. It monitors the interstitial fluids in your fat cells, and from that, they can tell you what your blood sugar is. So you put that on, and there you go. For 10 days, you don't have to touch it.
but after 10 days, you need to take it off to recharge, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The thing only lasts for the 10 days, but you know, a minor inconvenience like that every 10 days is a whole lot better than drawing blood samples out of your fingers 4 times a day.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
It's night and day.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
I heard rumors. I don't think I don't know if it's real or not. That the next Apple Watch or the version after that one will be able to detect your blood sugar levels through your wrist. I'm sorry, without any incision, like extraction, like just by having a watch on. How realistic do you think this is?
I don't know. That's something that was something they've been working on for 20 years, where they wanted to be able to monitor your skin and get the blood sugar that way. That's I'm sure that's what you're talking about, but they never had luck with it. But maybe they did. I mean, it's like everything else. The stuff that we just talked about back in 1981. This was science fiction. This was stuff that people said, "Gee, maybe someday Buck Rogers will invent this thing, and it'll be so much better." But that wasn't even in the offing back then. Now, in the 90s, there was serious progress made.
Yeah.
So but this is another thing with diabetes. We know enough about it to know how to treat it well, but people have to know the facts and they have to know how dangerous this thing is in order to take advantage of the things that are out there that let you control your blood sugar. I've had it for 43 years and I'm still in good health. I've got some minor things, but nothing really serious at all. I know a woman who's had it for 65 years. She got it when she was 6. And she's been very fastidious about watching her food and doing all the right things. And she's doing well. You can do well with this, but you have to do the right things. And in order to do the right things, you have to know what they are. And the reasons are important. So it's really a crime that we have so many people like my former employee who lost both of his legs because he was completely inattentive about it. There's no reason for that.
I mean, it's a life choice, right?
It is. Well, it's literally a life or death choice.